All right.
All right.
Looks like we got some NBA playoffs to talk about, gentlemen.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll give Kellen a 5 minutes at the end to give us the hockey rundown, since I know nothing about that. I do know
hear that.
to play.
Watch the Stars.
Stars are going to get wrecked.
Hockey's so crazy. It's so hard to predict.
Canada, no. Any one of those Canadian teams are going to take out the Stars. In my opinion, fairly easy.
So we shall see, my friend.
Yeah, they don't even know who they're playing yet. They play the winner of who? They play the winner of?
Nice one, right?
Edmonton or Vancouver?
Oh, they play tonight?
Let's see. I believe they are playing right at this moment, and Edmonton is leading 2-0.
Ah, cool. Well, welcome everybody. Just wanted to say hello and give a good shout out. Oh, we switched. He's going to be a Rocky. Oh, nope, he's back.
No.
We got to make sure that we, since we're messing around with that backgrounds, we got to make sure that Sooner stays in the foreground of his background.
Right.
But how's everybody's week so far? Everything all right? I know Kulik had a bad weekend.
I
was also in hostile territory this weekend. I was in Minnesota this weekend.
Oh, were you?
Yeah,
I did not shy away from wearing the Nugget shirt at all.
I hear you.
Or my MVP shirt.
Well, we'll have a little MVP discussion here in a minute. But how was your week there, Sooner?
The weekend was pretty good. I mean, we got Stars moved on. They beat Denver, and
Colorado.
Mavericks moved on, and they beat Oklahoma City. My Sooner Lady softball, they won their regional, and the Sooner baseball, they're the number one seed in baseball for the tournament that starts Wednesday, Big 12. So pretty good.
Well, very good. Well, my week was pretty good. Capped off by a Maverick W. The most impressive thing about the Mavericks is that they won in 6 and get almost 5 days of rest for Uncle Luca.
Yep.
I think that can loom large. But anyway, why don't we go ahead and start with the NBA in the East. First, any surprises? Were people surprised that Indiana took over the Knicks there?
Yeah, I knew it could happen, Keemer. I just didn't think it was going to happen.
Yeah.
But as we were talking a little bit before the show, you were talking about the injuries for the Knicks, and that definitely played a factor in that. But you know what? I don't want to play down or belittle the Pacers. I believe that they could give Boston a run. I don't think it's going to be as clear cut as I may have thought if you told me at the beginning of the playoffs that the Pacers were going to be playing them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the Pacers are. Their depth was just too much. The Knicks just didn't have enough players, and Boston's series starts tomorrow, and I'd love to see a Boston Maverick final. That's what I'm hoping for, but they Porzingis I think is maybe back not till Game 3, and so that'll give the Pacers a little bit because they do miss the depth. I mean, they have a good backup, but. That I think could hurt him more than it would have against Cleveland, for sure, not having him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, my take on that is I love the storyline. If Boston wins and the Mavs win, then it will be Luka versus Porzingis.
Yeah, that's true.
Or if Indiana wins, it's Luka versus Carlisle.
That's true.
A couple of good storylines.
Yeah,
but I wasn't surprised once the Knicks started, falling out of health, and Ginobili and Randall's been out, but then I think just a couple of little nagging things here and there.
Yeah.
It was just kind of crazy for them. The attrition on that team was just too much. But I wasn't too surprised once that started happening that Indiana was going to win. They're just too athletic. They're way athletic.
I was surprised at how big a win. I mean, it was a massacre, but not shocked that they won.
No, not shocked at all. Well, Sooner, who do you think is going to come out of the East?
I do think it's Boston. I think the Pacers are probably going to. I think they would have just ran away with the Knicks just because of the size and depth. Pacers have more size. They have better depth, so I think they can definitely win maybe one or two. But I don't. Once they get Porzingis back, they're the deepest team, and I just don't think they have enough. And if Boston plays the way that they play their best, I don't know how any team could beat them 4 times. So I definitely think Boston.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Kulik? What do you think coming out of the East?
Yeah, I think Boston will take it. I'm probably going to say Boston in. I'm going to say Boston in 5 because I do believe that it's not going to be a sweep. I do believe Pacers will get them in 1 game, but I just think that they're probably too overpowered by Boston. But then again, I kind of been saying that all playoff long about the Pacers. So what do I know?
Wacky, yeah. That was a wacky series. The New York had Pacers then New York had the Patrol, and then it was just a wacky series.
Yeah, it was. You have to go there and say that. I got to tell you though, I'm going to give Indiana a fighting chance. I think this may go 6 or 7. I think Indiana has enough athleticism to match up with Boston. And I know that Boston just loves to take off a night here and there and get smacked around a little bit. So we'll see. But I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 6 or 7. I'll still take Boston, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as most people think it's going to be. I realize that Indiana is the 6th seed and they're going against the number 1 seed, but anything can happen. Carlisle's a coach that's been there before. They've got some good veterans on that team. We'll see what happens, but I do think it'll go a little bit longer than 5, a little bit longer than 6. Maybe we're looking at 7, and Boston has the 7th at home. But like I said, they like to take games off every once in a while. So we shall see.
I could see a game 6. I don't think it'll go 7, but I could see a game 6.
Okay. Yep. Fair enough. So what are we thinking about the West, my friends? We know who is in the West, the Mavs, and the Mavs are going to go against Minnesota. Thank goodness the weather's warming up, so we don't have to go up there in the winter. But what do you think about that, Sooner? What do you think? Who you got in that one? How do you see the game?
Well, first I have to say that Minnesota, I was kind of surprised they were able to bounce back. I mean, that was a really weird series. You had 2 wins for them, and then 3 straight, and then Minnesota 2 in a row. I was very surprised they went into Denver and won. I was expecting to play Denver. I think Denver was almost a better matchup for the Mavericks.
I agree with you 100% there.
The T-Wolves, they have a lot of size. One of the big plays that seems like the Mavericks had 7 or 8 times a game were those alley-oops for dunks. Yep. They're not going to be able to do that against Minnesota with Gobert and Town. They're not going to be, and that was something that they got a lot of easy baskets from. So they're going to have to. You can't have the Luka and Kyrie not play well games because I don't think they'll get enough from other guys. Now, if those 2 guys play to their best, then I'd say I like Dallas. But right now, that's a tough one to call. Of course, I'm a little biased. I'll go Mavericks in 7, but I'm not real bought strongly on that one because I do worry about the size, and I just start thinking back to we got a lot of easy baskets from Oklahoma City because they didn't have anybody like that. We're not going to get that stuff. So, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about Mavs? Said Kulik. Kulik?
Yeah.
Hello? What do you think about Mavs, Minnesota? What's your?
Yeah, I think the Timberwolves are going to take in 6. They are too big. They were too big for Denver. They're definitely going to be too big for Dallas. So I think it's going to be a hard-fought series, but I don't see a game 7. And I think it will end probably back in Dallas in game 6 would be my assumption.
Well, I'm going to go with you on a game 6, but it's going to be Dallas that's going to do it. I'm going to tell you exactly why. I'm going to give you 3 reasons why. One of these reasons is something you have not even seen the Mavericks do all year, but they're going to do it in this game. Well, the first reason is I think Luka and Kyrie are going to have Luka and Kyrie type games throughout this series. I don't see. I really think that Luka needed to heal up a little bit. 5 days of rest will give him what he needs. I think they know how much we need Kyrie, and I think Kyrie will come out and give us those kinds of games. Now, on the defensive end, I totally agree that Minnesota is the number 1 defensive team all season long, probably a much better defensive team than the Mavericks, but they're going to have their hands full matchup-wise with the Mavericks. The guard play, I think we've got the advantage. Yes, they have Edwards, but he's going to score. He's going to score his average 25 points a game, which is really nothing. Kyrie can do that in the quarter. Luke is going to go nuts on him a little bit. So, but the other thing is, I think the Mavericks defense is good enough to handle their defense. And the other factor is there's 2 things. I really do think that Kleber will be back in this series, and the Mavericks will go small against the Minnesota. They'll go small against Minnesota. Not to mention the fact you're going to see something you haven't seen all year. You're going to see our big guys out beyond the 3-point line shooting threes. You're going to see Gafford. You're going to see Lively shooting threes in this game. They're going to have to pull Gobert away from the basket. Now, Lively can shoot threes. He was a good 3-point shooter. Gafford, so. But Lively can shoot threes. And so I think you're going to see some of that. They've been practicing that, is the word that I've heard from Maverickville. But they have to beat them, they're going to have to play small, and they're going to have to pull Gobert away from the rim so that we can not so much get the alley-oops as we've been doing, but at least get the ball to the basket.
Yeah. Well, if they're going to they're going to make Gafford and Lively prove they can hit that, and if they can, then you're right. But that's not something we've seen much. And I mean, Gafford doesn't shoot past 3 feet, so I'll be pleasantly surprised if he hits some 3-pointers.
The issue for them is really and truly that they can't man up underneath like that. They just can't because Gobert's just too big. They got to pull him away from the basket somehow, and that might be a way to do that. Although they might switch up or whatever, but I still think they got to do that. But if they play small, when Gobert was in Utah and the Mavericks would play them, Gobert didn't play very much because they would go small against him, and he just couldn't handle the defensive end of that. But if they try to match him up strength by strength, then the only thing they can do is put 2 7-footers out there, Lively and Gafford, and that ain't going to work because they got Towns, who's 7 foot. They got Naz Reid, who's 7 foot. Yeah. They got Gobert, who's 8 foot. So it's just
massive.
If Dallas wins this, they're going to have to win it from the perimeter because they're not going to have their way against Karl Anthony Towns, Naz Reid, and Gobert. They're just not going to have their way against them. Because if Denver's size struggled against them, I definitely know that Dallas's size is going to struggle against.
You might see Dwight Powell play a little bit more in this series just because to foul, if anything.
But even if you pull Gobert away, you're still going to have to deal with Reid and Towns.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They don't. Reid and Towns typically aren't on the floor much at this. All 3 of them, I should say, aren't on the floor much at the same. But I understand what you're saying because Naz Reid is a handful. I don't care. I mean, I realize he's 6th man of the year in that, but he'd probably start on most teams. But he's a handful. Defensively, I think that we'll probably see DJ on Edwards, and he's tough enough to slow him down.
Yeah.
Stop him, can't do that. But slow him down is definitely a piece of the action. But there's something.
They said Jason Kidd, which I was kind of surprised to hear this. He's the first Maverick coach to go to 2 Western Conference Finals. No other coach has ever done that.
Wow.
I was surprised to hear that.
Interesting.
He's the only one, and he's done it in 4 years.
Mm-hmm. I got a question for you guys. Where is the number? We're going to talk a little MVP stuff here. Who was number one? Who won the award for MVP?
Nikola Jokic.
Joker.
And where is he now? Cancun. Who was number two?
Probably polishing his MVP trophy at home, to be honest. Or you know
Good
what?
bit.
Honestly, he may not even know where it's at, because when he went to get the MVP interview last year, he was the very first guy to win the MVP that didn't bring it to that interview, and he didn't know where it was. So heck,
He didn't know where it was.
He might not know where it is now.
How would he not know where it's at?
Because he said it.
That's weird.
Honestly, he probably was paying attention to some horse racing events coming up, to be honest. So
could be. Who finished number two in the voting?
SGA.
That would be SAG, I believe.
And where's SGA? Where's SGA?
Yeah, he's not playing
he's in
anymore.
Cancun too. Yeah. Who finished number 4 in the voting?
I believe who was number 4?
Luka was third, right?
Yeah, Luka was third. He wasn't fourth.
Who was fourth? I don't know who fourth.
I don't know who fourth was. Who was fourth, Keemer?
Fourth was what's his face? The guy from
A Boston guy?
Huh?
Was it one of the Boston guys?
No, Minnesota, not Minnesota. Almost won it last year. 2 years ago.
Oh, Embiid?
Not Embiid. No,
Embiid
Embiid
not Embiid. No, Embiid won it last year. What team is it?
I got you. Give me a second.
Go ahead.
We have Giannis Antetokounmpo for Milwaukee.
Greek, the Geek Freak or Greek Freak.
And where is he?
He didn't make it past the first. He's on the bench hurt.
He's home, yes. And who's number 5, Kulik?
Let's see. Who is number 5? And doesn't matter. It was Jason Tatum.
You're mute.
You're on mute, Keemer.
Can't hear you. What the heck just happened? We can't hear you.
Mute. I know he was getting to a point. I know he was getting to a point.
Yes,
I know he was getting to a point.
Wow.
You've known me long enough to know the point is that the only two MVP candidates left in this top 5 are Luka and Tatum.
Yeah. So maybe one of them will win the playoff MVP or the finals MVP. But the regular season MVP was the one and only big man, Nikola Jokic, who quite possibly is the best passer this game has ever seen.
Oh, give me a break.
Come on. He's a great passer, but he ain't the best they've ever seen.
I think a little
He's
magic.
One of the greatest we've ever seen.
I think a little magic might have something to say about that.
He's the best passing big man, yes. But
how much? No, not big man. Don't put that qualifier in there because he is one of the best passers ever.
Oh
I'm not going to say he's the best, but he is one of the best.
One of the best? No.
Magic was really good. Jason Kidd was really good.
I can name 20 guys better than him.
I don't know how often you guys watch Jokic play basketball, but those passes are just nasty.
But he's not doing it out in the open court all the time. I mean, he's great. Don't be wrong. But those guys were amazing out in the open court.
Yeah.
And I mean, Luka's a pretty darn good passer.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Not on the same level, though. Not yet, anyway.
Not on the same level. This man's a triple-double machine. Come on now.
We're only talking about passing right now.
That's what I'm talking about. He's averaging 10 a game. Come on now.
I'm not saying he doesn't pass the ball. He passes the ball very well. But he doesn't pass it like the Joker does. He just doesn't.
I don't know.
And I would say outside of maybe 5 other guys in NBA history, maybe those
Man.
5 guys pass better maybe than Joker does, but he's right.
Larry
up there.
Bird was a pretty darn good passer.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Maravich is a better passer. You
I
kidding me?
know.
There's a ton of guys. A ton of guys.
John Stockton and
Stockton, yes. Goodness gracious. Talk about opium.
No. Hey, I'm not the only one talking about it. There's NBA analysts talking about it. So I didn't just come up with this out of the blue.
They're the same ones that thought drafting Luka was crazy. Yep, I know what you mean. They're out there. Well, anyway, guys.
But no, Jokic one is, in my book, 4th straight MVP because that Embiid never should have happened.
now SGA. I mean, watching this series, SGA should have won it because he does not have a team that should have been the 1 seed. I mean, he just doesn't have enough. He doesn't have that that true number 2 guy, and I would hope that that's what they're trying to do. They need more of a true type, Kyrie type guy who's more. They don't even really have a true point guard, so I think he was probably the MVP to get that team to the 1 seed because I just don't think
he wasn't though. The Joker was MVP.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree.
Well, the world champions are sitting at home. The Mavs are still playing, and I, for one, and I'm going to give each of you a shot at this, I think they can get past Minnesota and get past Boston if Luka's healthy. I think that's the big thing for the Mavs. So I think they could be world champions. I really do. I think they've got a shot at it. But, of course, you guys may have a different thought. Who do you have going all the way?
I'm picking. I'm going to pick Boston in 6, Mavericks in 7. I mean, I will cheer more for the Mavs just because Boston has so many titles. I won't be sad if Boston wins it, but if I had to go with who I really think, I think Boston would probably win it. I think beating that team 4 times, I don't think there's a team that can do that. So, and you got to do that. So I just don't see it happening. But maybe it will. Maybe.
We'll see. Good, Kulik, who you got?
Well, I believe the Celtics are going to beat the Pacers in 5, possibly 6. And then I do believe the Timberwolves will beat Dallas in 6. And I do believe that then I do think that either Dallas or Minnesota could take on Boston. But I do think it's going to be Minnesota, and I think Minnesota will win it all.
There you go. So we got a Mav, we've got Minnesota, and we got Boston on the list there. So,
hey, Mavs win. Hey, that's fine. That's fine.
All right.
But
well, it's that time again, guys. Who we're going to give our shout outs to. Oh, let me give Kellen like 5 minutes on a little hockey stuff. What you got for us, Kellen?
Yeah, so definitely got a lot of games, game 6 and 7 in hockey. So we just had in one side of the hockey land, we had Florida and Boston in round 2 in the East. We had the Rangers and Carolina in round 2 in the East. Both of those games went 6. But in the Eastern Conference Finals, it's going to be Florida against the New York Rangers. And then we've got in round 2 in the West, the Dallas-Colorado game went 6 games. And right now we're playing game number 7 against Vancouver and Edmonton.
Yep.
What's up?
I'm just saying this is the first time that the Mavs and Stars have been in the conference finals ever in the same season.
Nice.
First time.
Cool.
And right now the Oilers are beating the Canucks by 3-0. So unless something changes in the third period, probably going to be Dallas versus Edmonton in the West. So as far as any predictions, what it's looking like, listen, I don't think the New York Rangers are losing to anybody this year.
I agree.
But I do think it'll be, if Edmonton stays where they're at and they take out Vancouver, it'll be the New York Rangers versus the Edmonton Oilers. And I think the Rangers will probably win that pretty easily. Actually, I'm pretty sure the Rangers would win pretty easily against anybody in the West, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep the Rangers. I think the Rangers could probably do it in 5, maybe 6, because then they'll be playing the best team from the West. But yeah, so that's what we have. So I think it'll be the Rangers and the Oilers. Yep.
Awesome. Stars are going to win. They can't play hockey in Canada, so
they don't know nothing about hockey. All right, guys, it's about time to close. So I'm going to give each of you a moment to do a little shout out. Why don't you go ahead first, Sooner? Who are you going to shout out to this evening?
You go ahead, Kulik. Let me think about it for a second.
All right, I'll go first. Now that basketball and football has ended for the season. Basketball and hockey have ended for the season. Unfortunately, that was a rare premature exit if we're going off Colorado teams for the last few years. Now, what do we have left in Denver? We have the Colorado Rockies, and that's where I'm changing my background to because I have to put my faith in them because they are my last Denver sports team to cheer on.
Well, I'll go with the great wizard and genius of Rob Gronkowski. He picked the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl, and I don't know what the hell he's thinking. So that'll be my shout out. But we have Rob's vote, so hey, that's something.
There you go. Well, I'm going to have to reach back to the previous best of 6, as it turns out, games against Oklahoma, OKC. And I'm going to have to give a little hat tip to the 7-foot rookie, Mr. Lively. He played one heck of a series. Granted, P.J. Washington came alive too, but I really think that rookie really, really played well this year. And I just want to give him a hat tip because in that series, they wouldn't have won it without him. And
Oklahoma City could have used him because they traded him on draft day.
Yes, they did.
Dallas.
Yes, they
did. I think they could have used him in that series.
Yes, they could have. Yes, they could
have.
They had Chet, and they didn't want him.
Yeah. I don't think Chet's a good enough. I think he's not. He's maybe a 4 at best. They're still missing a good 5. So.
Yeah, agreed.
I got to sneak one more shout out in there. Nebraska Cornhusker baseball is playing pretty good baseball right now. Unfortunately, they lost their last game of the season. Otherwise, they would have had the shared Big 10 title with Illinois. But now we're going to start some Big 10 baseball. And I got to tell you, I don't know who's going to win the College World Series this year, but I think they're going to come from the Big 10.
The Big 10?
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Wow, that's a surprise.
When's the last time the Big 10 won the College World Series?
What was the last time
I don't know.
It was probably, I'd have to check my resources here, but it's been the last 5 years for sure.
5 years?
Yeah.
Won the whole national championship in baseball?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have to look that up.
Interesting.
What, you don't think Big 10 baseball is good sooner? You got something coming.
It's not. It's not.
You got something coming for you if you don't think Big 10 baseball is good.
It's not good.
It is good. And it's better than Oklahoma baseball. I'll guarantee you that.
Wow. Yeah. OU played for the national title 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's 2 years ago. That isn't right now.
They just won the conference. This is the best OU team in a long time.
They won the Big 12 baseball. Conference. They didn't win the Big 10
baseball. Big 10? Yeah. SEC is by far the best baseball. The Big 10 now.
Why? Because of Arkansas?
What?
Because of Arkansas?
What, the SEC? LSU, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia. They're all really good.
They're all decent, but Arkansas is really the only ringleader from the SEC.
I don't know, man.
Well, before it gets too much more bloody, I'm going to call it a night, gentlemen. You can fight offline. We don't want to be in that. Too dangerous. Anyway, guys, thanks for another great show. We will see you next time. We are Sports Base Pundits.
Peace.